Chapter 3. Complaining. I had a chronic complaining habit that started in childhood and continued for decades. It wasn't until I became aware of the problem that I started to do something about it. Of course, that's always the first step before anything can improve, being aware of your problem. The next step is that you have to be willing to change. Although you can't conquer a chronic complaining habit overnight, your determination and using the strategies that follow will go a long way towards making it happen sooner rather than later. Complaining and criticizing feels strangely satisfying, but it's not healthy. Who would have guessed? According to scientific studies, complaining puts your whole body into a harmful negative state and invites a host of health-related problems. It can even damage an area of the brain critical to solving problems, along with another area that's been implicated in Alzheimer's disease. Besides that, it's hard to be happy when you're continually finding fault with people and complaining about situations you have no control over. Unfortunately, the more you complain, the more natural it seems. This is especially true if you had a negative upbringing and or spend a good deal of time with people who act miserable under most circumstances and rarely have a nice thing to say about anything. As I said at the beginning of this topic, in order to eliminate any bad habit or behavior, you not only have to be aware of it, you have to be resolute about your desire to change. One of the ways I continually create this awareness is by playing a game I started a few years ago. To play this game, you need a cooperative partner, preferably someone you spend a lot of your time with. I play the game with a close friend. If you're married or in a relationship, your spouse would be the ideal partner. The point of this game is to be on the alert for each other's complaints. Every time my friend catches me swearing, complaining, or criticizing, he holds out his hand for me to pay up and give him $1. That's what we agreed to would be the penalty. Of course, it can be more or less any amount you decide on. Playing this game is an effective means of developing the awareness necessary to drastically reduce the amount of complaining you do. At the same time, it can also be a lot of fun. And if the person you play it with complains more than you do, you'll even gain a few dollars. It pays to make every effort to be self-aware and track the amount of complaining and criticizing you do in the course of a day, even when you're all alone and there's nobody around to remind you. Following are some suggested actions to help you in curbing this harmful habit and eventually overcome it. 1. Limit your exposure to downbeats as much as possible. Keeping the company of relentlessly wretched human beings will drain your energy. You know the type. You say, "Hi, how are you?" And they never simply reply with, "Fine, thanks. How are you?" Instead, you get a detailed account of how they don't feel well or how awful their life is. They talk, and complain about the same problems for months and years on end, yet never do anything about it. 2. Spend more time with outgoing, fun-loving people who have lots of interests and like to socialize. When you surround yourself with good-natured folks who would rather laugh than complain, your spirits will ultimately be buoyed by their positivity. Nowhere have I experienced this more than with a group of free-spirited individuals I took several improv comedy classes with a couple of years ago. If you have ever vaguely entertained the notion of taking an improv class, I heartily recommend it. 3. Don't follow or friend chronic complainers on social media. Not only will their complaints bring you down, there may be times when you can't resist the urge to chime in and add your own 2 nickels to a negative thread. Before you know it, you'll be embroiled in an online squabble that has the potential to drag you down with it. Heated debates are the ones where you're more likely to post a malicious comment you'll regret later. Bear in mind that most people who constantly complain about the same issues time and time again do not actually want anyone's helpful input. They usually do it for the attention it brings or to have other people feel sorry for them. 4. As tempting as it may be, avoid posting or sharing negative stories, comments, and pictures on social media sites. Anything you post on the internet potentially stays there forever. Even if you delete a comment or picture or make it private, it's too late if it's already been copied or shared. Bear in mind that employers routinely scout the internet for the specific purpose of gathering personal information on their job candidates. A negative comment or inappropriate picture you posted could cost you that dream job you had hoped to land. Cultivate feelings that make other people delighted to be in your company. Constantly complaining can have huge negative impact on anyone you associate with. Keep in mind that legitimate complaints are not the same as mindless griping. There's nothing negative about telling a friend or partner about a problem, be it financial, job, health-related, etc., if your intent is to find a solution. However, those relationships could eventually be eroded if you continually ignore their helpful advice and persist in complaining about the same things time after time. Unless it's totally warranted, stop complaining already. Challenge yourself not to complain about a single thing all day today. Then, do it again the next day and the day after that. And one more thing. I like this quote that says, "The only thing complaining does is convince other people that you're not in control."